Right, so if you just tuned in, we're doing a coaching session for Pony. Pony's very kindly a tier 3 sub, and she has given very generously this month, so I felt that it would be appropriate to give her a coaching session if she wanted one, and she wants one. This is a plat game, Seraphine Support. So it's Jhin, Seraphine versus Ziggs, Senna. I was just chatting, saying like the items, build path. I think in terms of Seraphine win rate right now, as you probably are aware, is really bad. She has a really, really bad win rate right now at 47.78% win rate at Emerald Plus right now. Now I know this isn't Emerald, but it's like, it's basically the same. So, it's not a champion I would recommend, but we'll do our best to try and guide you in terms of trying to increase your win rate a little bit. In terms of skill orders, what are you kind of doing in your skill order?
Starting maxing Q, then W, and then E.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you're going this enchanted build, yeah, I'd recommend doing that. That's fine. Have you ever been tempted to go like an AP like Seraphine in terms of like just like the items rather than very defensive?
Not really. There have been few games where I've played her APC because I've been placed as AD. And even when I've gone for AP, the damage hasn't really felt like a lot.
Okay. And do you always go like Guardian on Seraphine?
At the start I was trying with Aerie, but it didn't feel like it was great. I'm going Guardian now all the time just because of the defense it gives.
Okay. It does seem, yeah, so I think potentially with Aerie, because with Aerie you're running, I guess with Resolve also you're running Font of Life. So whenever you crowd control them, you're healing, and then that would proc.
Yep.
Stuff like Flow Water, Ardent, a little bit of Moonstone. But also that would also proc Dreammaker. So it might, I don't know if you've tried experimenting with Dreammaker, but that would be a way, even though like Seraphine doesn't have much in terms of her actual kit, the W ability in terms of proccing Dreammaker that often, if you've got a Font of Life in your kit anyway, then you're going to be, as long as your allied champions are hitting them anyway, they're going to get healed, and that's going to proc Staff of Flowing Water and Dreammaker anyway. So it seems like overall for Seraphine in the Enchanted build, from what the stuff I'm looking at, it's probably still like early days yet, but Dreammaker seems to be better than Ziggs. I think if you were going like Leandry's kind of Seraphine build, like Rylai's, Leandry's AP, I think Ziggs would be fine. I don't think there's probably a massive difference between them both, but since you are probably leaning in towards like Guardian being a bit more defensive, I think Dreammaker would probably suit it better rather than needing to do a tiny bit of extra damage on top. That makes sense. So I would probably suggest going Dreammaker in terms of the actual support item conversion. I don't usually go into that much in-depth analysis on code cheating sessions at the start on skill orders, but it's kind of a, I think with the really bad win rate at the moment on Seraphine, on everyone at the moment, I think it's worth looking into just to try kind of squeeze like any kind of extra minute bit out.
I do want to point out in op.gg it says that my Seraphine win rate currently is 59% at 37 games played.
Nice. You're doing alright. You're boosting the win rate. You're carrying it.
Like, overall, like I've really climbed with Seraphine. Well, it's a challenge that I've placed to see how far I can get with Seraphine. And so far it's going well.
But yeah, do give this the Dreammaker a try. As long as you're running Font of Life, you shouldn't have any issue with that, and it should be slightly better, like an extra maybe like 0.2% chance of winning the game.
Yep, I will.
You got a double poke versus kind of double poke. I haven't seen a Ziggs AP carry all season. He was very dominant last season. At least you don't have to worry about taking MR and armor runes now with the current patch. So here, okay, so you pulled with double, right? I don't think you should. And what did you start off with? Q?
with Q.
I'm gonna so when I have seen Seraphine being played as support, I think generally starting E has been like the thing that most of them have been doing. The downside of that though is that the E has got a massive cooldown, so if you do miss that E, then you kind of like left yourself open for a while. But either way, I don't like you using double cast to pull, because Seraphine's like a really weird, unique situation. Like if you help, then you lose your passive. So I think you should save it for the lane, for lane harassment. I don't think the jungle needs that much help these days anyway, so just doing a few auto attacks is fine. I think you should be selfish and save your passive in lane, just because it's like strong early in terms of doing early harassment. So yeah, I would say like to be selfish and save your passive for lane. So here I'm kind of looking at seeing like stack management. I want to see like double E procs rather than double Q procs most likely, yeah. Especially with something like a Jhin or any other pokey AD carry, that means they can easily follow up. So like that for example is really good, and then the Jhin can layer over with the W. Yeah, like here Jhin should probably have finished that off. I think overall you did a pretty good job here. That's exactly what I was talking about, and then you did it. So yeah, the double cast there. I think the exhaust there is good. You've got all cooldowns left, so there's not really much you can do in this chase, which is here for moral support. Yeah. Gonna have a slight mana issue now though. I think that is probably the issue. So what secondaries are you running if you're going Guardian? Sorcery, yeah. Fairy, there's... Yeah, you're still gonna have the same sort of mana issues anyway, yeah. It's just tough, isn't it, on the Seraphine's mana early?
Yeah, I was thinking on taking cookies, but the mana flow band and I think it's presence of the mind. It's something that is really needed.
Have you gone precision secondaries here?
No. Let me see. I don't remember what it's called.
No, you've gone Guardian and then Sorcery.
Yeah, sorcery. The
Yes,
one with the head.
You got mana flow band and something else there.
Yes, it's the one with the cooldown reduction.
Transcendence, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think like, especially if you go into like Dreammaker, that you absolutely have to have Font of Life. So even if you were going Summon Airy, you'd still have Font of Life plus Revitalize on your secondary tree. So you're gonna have these mana issues anyway. There is another build that you can do if you're worried about a lot of burst damage. I'd say like if you look at their team, they're surprisingly this season their burst damage isn't like, it's gonna be like okay, but it's not that high. I think you actually have a case, I don't know if you've done it or not, but on Seraphine I think you can absolutely build as Seraphs and Archangel your staff. Have you tried that at all?
Not on support, but in APC.
It might be worth looking into in games where there's like, I mean if you saw the last game I just had where it's like up against like the Yi and the Zoe and if you're going to be completely open and vulnerable, I would say pick up that tier on first recall, get it stacking, maybe make sure you finish one item and then go and finish off your Seraphs afterwards, because the shield can quite easily save your life. I've noticed that when doing on Sona it has helped in a couple of situations, just keep myself going. So here you're like in a really awkward lane situation. You've got Ziggs has low mana, Senna has mana, you don't have mana, Jhin has mana, so you're just kind of like, if I were you, I'd just be like not spamming my abilities too much. Maybe use a Q to get a mana flow proc, like that. And then using my auto attacks to do get the charges off rather than poking to get charges off. Here I can see why you're recalling, because you're low in resources. But the awkward thing is you can't leave this Jhin by himself because he literally will be 2v1 and the odds of him dying are like very high, I'd say. I'd say that's not a good recall. Because now you can see like this Jhin is now kind of like, he should have either joined with you or you shouldn't have recalled. You both need to kind of ideally pair this up. Because he's going to be in a situation where he's He could get dove, or he's just going to be standing AFK here for 20 seconds on no resources and doing like absolutely nothing. So yeah, he can barely get like 1 CS there. 6 would be down here now, and he's going to get her out. And then what's probably going to happen is that he'll clear out this wave with the cannon minion. Then he'll want to reset, and then you're going to be in lane by yourself. So let's see if that happens. It probably will happen. So yeah, if you think the enemy's recalled, you're going to be shoving this wave in really, really quickly. And now Jin here now should be resetting. If you think that he should be resetting as well, you should just ping him back and tell him to reset. And then at this point, you either then recall again with him, which is kind of annoying, or you look for a rotation towards the mid lane. A quick glance at mid lane, both players are pretty low HP. There could be something going down here anyway. I mean, here we can kind of see Fiddlesticks is kind of making a play, but yeah, this is kind of like the recall link here is now off. So yeah, Jin's now going to be, in theory, looking for a recall. He should have probably recalled 10 seconds ago to save some time, and then yeah, you're kind of like left here kind of doing nothing, right? So you spent 20 to 30 seconds going back to reset, but you should probably just try and squeeze it out and just not reset unless a Jin's going to do it with you, because you don't want to be, because now it's going to be like a whole minute now of you being solo and Jin now being solo without really getting anything done on the map, whether it's lane pressure or now we're getting into like kind of dodgy territory now where you could get caught off because you're trying to find something to do and things like that. So try to keep an eye on that, on the syncing of recalls, whether it's like maintaining mana a bit better at the first part of laning phase. It's probably mainly that. It's probably just you need to make sure that you're proccing your Q just to get the mana flow bounce stack if it's easy to do, but just take it easy and just use the benefit now this season of just last hitting minions with your World Atlas in order to just not have to use spells basically to harass the enemy. I think the laning phase now, the first like 5 minutes is a lot like kind of, there isn't as much benefit for harassing compared to what it used to be with the lack of AP now and spell thieves. Just means the damage overall is down as well, so it requires even more mana in theory to actually kill somebody. Alright, this is a complete mess. Let's see what's going on here. The dragon's been pulled. Dragon is nearly done. We put a ward on the brush, but it's been blocked out by the control ward. Okay. So yeah, you guys are completely kind of getting sandwiched in here. You've got exhaust. I think exhaust needs to kind of be put down like straight away here. Like no delay on that at all. I'd be thinking like, in this situation here, when I know it's going to be like feeling super awkward and you're going to be sandwiched in, the first thing you need to kind of think of is like how do we mitigate as much damage here as possible that we're going to take, and how do I get out of this situation? Because it's in a super awkward place. The positioning that you put yourself in here is against this wall, which is towards the enemy, and it's really far away. The two reasonable places where you could maybe get out of this situation is you're never going to be able to go down the bottom of the river, so you have to do something up. So it's either going into the pit and flashing over the wall, or taking a long route here. You might have to like flash this other wall here too to maybe get into safety. But it's really kind of awkward. But yeah, exhaust needs to go down straight away just to kind of slow them down as well. And also don't forget, like it should, like exhaust slowing them down should make it easier for you to land that double E as well. So if they're close enough, it should just be exhaust here and then land the E, and then they'll be rooted, right? Slow Seraphine E equals then root. So that puts the Ziggs further back as well. Yeah, I'd say like you don't want to go back into that. You kind of got baited by Nocturne in order to go back into that fight when he's low HP. And now your flash is kind of like in a really bad spot. Yeah, so that's exactly what's happened there. So in this situation, damage mitigation, and then how the hell do I get out of this? Because it's looking really bad. This Nocturne gigabaits you, unfortunately. get a bit greedy there with the Q harassment, but you really just need to like, yeah, if you didn't get baited there by the Nocturne going in, you could have probably flashed over that wall like I mentioned earlier to just about get out in time.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let's see what you got on the first recall back. You got boots. You've got Bound of Glass Mirror. Are you going for Moonstone first, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just trying to think, like, Moonstone first item is, like, are you getting much benefit on Seraphine with that, do you feel?
Well, the numbers on it usually are not really a lot. I've been checking them now because they finally put them back. Like mid-game, usually where we are, it's been around 500 healing and 2000 shielding. Like the shielding numbers are nice. The healing is not that great.
Like, I think going Moonstone on Seraphine is fine. I think you're delaying your tier 2 boots here. I think that's like my main concern here. I think you need to prior tier 2 boots.
Usually the first thing I buy is the tier 2 boots. I don't remember why specifically I went for bundle class here instead of tier 2 boots, but normally I do build first tier 2 boots before going even bundle class. I usually just take the mana regen.
So if I remember correctly, Band of Glass is 1000 gold.
Yep.
Boots conversions from tier 1 is 650, so you could have had tier 2 boots, a Fairy Charm and a Control Ward. I think I would prefer that overall.
Mm-hmm.
That way you lose 25% base mana, you lose 10 haste and 20 ability power, but you gain extra movement speed, you get cooldown on summoners, you get cooldowns down in general, so it's more than the ability haste from the Band of Glass Mirror anyway.
Yep.
And the movement speed to reposition. Also, like when you're going to be having your ulti up, as you probably know, like positioning is everything to get a good ulti off from Seraphine, so just when you're going to be hitting 6 soon, it feels a bit bad to not have that extra kind of like positional potential with your boots, so do keep an eye on that. Also, you would have had the Control Ward, which could have helped. Could help in the future.
I have the Control Ward here. I actually placed it down.
Oh.
Fiddlesticks is standing on it.
Did he just... Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, let's have a look at that, because I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm assuming that you're aware that there's a ward there, so you're going for the clear on that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough Control Ward loss, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. It helps protect your mid lane a little bit. I would be very, like, kind of wary. I guess you knew that maybe Senna's already recalling in the mid, but like I'd be very wary about taking any sort of fight here with level 6 anyway. Especially when your mid laner has like no lane prior, like it's already been shoved in quite a lot. So I'd say like in some situations here, you would get mega punished for doing this. So don't try and take 1v1 fights with the enemy jungle at all if possible. Unless maybe like you have like a way of getting out, but you've already used like double summoners, for example, to... So I'd say that'd be like that's a pretty risky play there to eliminate the ward and then take a 1v1 there with Fiddle. Like even like this is kind of like crazy that Fiddlesticks is doing that. It's a nice catch because you've already got vision here, so you know that no one's going to collapse in. So I don't know what the hell that was about, but okay, nice free pick there, I guess. But yeah, in terms of
things.
Yeah, so in terms of items, I'm starting to think like I think have a little bit of an experimentation if you can of not going Moonstone first and then maybe picking up like second or third item. Because it is gonna Moonstone will proc with Font of Life. Not much, it won't do a huge amount, but it will proc. But I'm not seeing like how that's gonna necessarily benefit you a massive amount in the lane. Once you start shielding more people and once the team fights start happening, I can see that Moonstone's second item being a bit more valuable. But maybe like Staff of Flowing Water, I mean that will proc off your Font of Life as well, so if anyone hits those targets they'll get the buff from you as well. Of course if you do your W. It's just like I think Seraphine's just not doing very well in terms of overall like win rate across the board, just because it is very awkward. Also you could look into doing like the Seraph's Embrace first item into then carrying with your normal boot into like then Moonstone second item and then stuff flowing water third item. I know a lot of Seraphines like taking Raleighs, and that's gonna like delay it a little bit further. But I don't feel like Raleighs is like a nice complementary item to Seraphine. I don't feel like it's like giga mandatory at all. I don't know how you feel about that. Don't know if that's a controversial take, but
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking because that one then saves the double cast E, and I get to use double cast W much more.
right. Isn't the most important thing though, from the reason why you take Raleighs, is the stun factor though? So you'd have to do double cast E anyway for that to proc, right?
Yeah, for the stun, but
Yeah.
it's easier binds.
But your ult, like, in most cases, isn't it mainly like ulti into doing your E anyway? So if you do like ulti, then they're slowed already anyway. So like the Raleighs at that point is redundant. Does that make sense? Like if you're ulting
it does.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I think the Raleighs is like I honestly think like Raleighs is a little bit overrated than Seraphine. Okay, I want to watch this. So you've pushed in up. There's a big fight on top side, so you know you're 2v2. I mean, that's a good E here. That's a good ulti proc. It's interesting though that the Senna ulti stopped her from moving towards you. You managed to buffer that in. I've not seen that before. I think what you did there was fine. Just caused a bit of pressure. I think that you could have argued like Jhin could have just whacked down his ulti if you had it available to him to help join them. But I think just continuing to take it kind of like slowish, trying to find those picks still whenever you can is absolutely fine. And you get absolutely blown up. That was out of nowhere. Hold on. Yes, this is his W's Q. I've noticed you do have a little habit. I don't know. Like, this isn't the reason why you die, but I have noticed this now a couple of times. So watch out when you're doing her Q. I want you to watch yourself do the Q here. Look at your model. You see how you kind of like, yeah, you move ahead, and you need to be very careful about that, especially if you've already used your E, because at that point you've got nothing anyway, and there's no reason to actually take another step forward. So just be careful about that. It's terrible, Jhin. Yeah, like in terms of like, I'm just gonna look back at this. This is like, Victor did walk past a ward in mid lane. Lux did ping back, so at this point, like Lux has already pinged twice now to say to indicate that Victor has been roaming down. But like, there's been neither of you are like paying attention to any of the calls on the map there. So just be a little bit more aware of calls that have been made in terms of missing pings and stuff, because Lux did ping a lot there. And also you could see Victor moving down into the lane there too. So that I think that your death there is just because you weren't A, listening to pings, and B, actually watching the minimap, because Victor was in vision for quite some time. Yeah. So you knew he was going to go bot side. Like, as soon as you know the mid laner is moving down bot side, you just need to like, you need to just back up a little bit until you see the Victor again. And that's kind of like your job more than the Jhin. So try not to get too involved in feeling the need to harass, because you got the build that you're going right with Guardian anyway. You're not going to be harassing for that much damage anyway. So all you're really here is for setup. You're not here for actual damage. So you don't need to keep spamming like your Qs and stuff like that. Honestly, in this kind of situation here, I guess maxing Q reduces the cooldown to get more double procs. But you're not really here to do damage, I'd say, but not especially with not a build like this.
Yeah, I think that's something I need to get out of my head, because the previous season was very different to the current one.
I think like that as well. Like for Nami, for me, it's Nami. I was able to harass a lot more in lane. Having the extra AP on Spell Thieves was really nice. You don't have that now either, so you're doing less damage now as well in lane. So yeah, and also I think you got the situation where you were kind of able to exploit the fact where this patch specifically as well, enemies were generically taking armor a lot too. So your magic damage wasn't being punished. But now, since everyone can just generically take extra HP in lane, it's mitigating a little bit of your damage now overall in terms of percentage amounts. So you're going to be feeling that even more now this patch. So just definitely take a more control role rather than like I'm here to do damage role. Like you're all about the setup. Like I wouldn't blame you if you maxed your E first, and then your W second. Or you're putting like 3 points in Q, then maxing E into W or W into E kind of thing. I think you can afford to be a bit quirky here, I think. Because I think the Seraphine Q only really does a lot of damage if you got double proc and in the execute range. I think after before that, like it just kind of does okay damage, but it's not crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking here for like mispositions here, and if like you should maybe exploit it, or if you're like kind of wasting abilities and stuff. I think poking still with Q is like okay, but I think if you've ever got double cast, I think you should be looking for ease at this point in the game. You should be looking for that setup. If you got ulti, no, unfortunately you don't.
No, I used it in the fight with Fiddle.
Yeah, that would have been good if you had that. I think here you don't necessarily want to overextend too much. I think you can clear out this wave and then just reset. Like here on these minions here, because of your resources, I'd reset. Like here, I think it's at this point, it's okay. If Jin wants to overextend, that's on him. I think it's way too risky for you to stay with these resources and hitting this turret. So yeah, like... And also there's no like plate to go off. The plate literally just fell off as well. So you're just kind of hitting this turret for not much reason. And Victor's down here and then yeah.
Yeah.
So if you ever feel like in this situation, it's a really good TP though. But yeah, so as it's kind of funny how we identify these things and the things happen. Yeah, your health, your mana, you can't do anything. Like if the enemy sees your mana on this, it's like, oh, it's just a caster minion. Because you literally can't do anything, right? So you might get a mana to do a one ability press if you're lucky. But yeah, there's no reason to be here like this at all. If Jin wants to overextend, you ping him back. I think 9 times out of 10, what I tell supports in particular, is if you recall and ping your AD carry back, 9 times out of 10 they'll respect it. They'll either recall or just back off. I think you need to take a little bit of control here of the lane. Say like, I'm low resources, I need to go home, come back. And if they don't come back, then it's like, well, Jin might die, but then at least both of you aren't dying at the same time.
Yeah, I'm very often just pinging them like, hey, I'm low on mana, or I don't have mana for the ability, but I guess it's better just to ping back.
Yeah, just go back, recall, and then ping them back as well while you're doing that, because just to kind of convey the information over. Sometimes people are just on autopilot and just like not really thinking about anything. They're thinking, oh, wave's pushed in, there's a turret there, let me just hit the turret. I'm not thinking about anything else. I think here rotating here is good. After you've died, I think rotating and having a look at seeing if you can put down wards, especially like laning phase is kind of over now. Yep. That's a good ward. I think these banana brushes that I like calling the banana brushes are pretty good ward locations if you're able to get some river control and know that you're okay there. Otherwise you're just generically doing the mid lane brush, I think. Maybe trying to get a ward in middle lane around here is also good if possible. But yeah, like only go for these banana brushes. The one on blue side, this one's easy to get to. This one's harder to get to. This one feels a bit more deeper if you're blue side, but easier if you're red side. Only do that if you feel like you have like at least control over this area here, because it is quite far away from safety. Like putting a ward here, there isn't really any walls to flash over if you get caught or anything like that. So do you feel like, make sure you've got like some kind of awareness of where like the enemy jungler is if possible, or where your jungler is nearby or something like that before you do go for these brushes, because it can get quite scary. I think climbing up here playing for Herald is the right idea with the right call on that. You got your whole jungler up here, you got Fiddle 6 up top, Senna's up here too, so you're gonna have a potential 4v4 up here. Yeah, okay. So Right, so here, for example, you saw that there was 2 people top. Okay. So if you need to kind of be fully aware. You don't know about these guys. You didn't know about the Victor in the center, but like you already knew that there was 2 enemy top. So you already knew that, like, and this guy hasn't got lane priority. So Darius is like on his side. He can't come out into the river and help. Or at least if he has to, he's going to lose the wave, and then he's going to like put himself in a really awkward situation here anyway, where they could suddenly switch onto him. So like you being here and moving up is always going to be bad. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so you don't want to put yourself in a situation where the 2 people that you're aware of will snap onto you or snap onto your top laner. Like, if anything, if you are really wanting to back up top lane for some reason, you have to go through this way and join up with your Darius. Or wait for someone else to come up the river. I think maybe if you had a ward slot here, putting a ward around here generically is like okay, but not a massive amount of value. But I think that you can't actually walk up here. Like here straight away, you see them, and then they're surprised to see you as well. By the looks of it. Yeah. So at least that gives you, like, tells your team there's like 4 people top. That ward situation did reveal to them. Revealed to you there's 4 people top. You have no priority over this river at the moment because Darius is in a really awkward position, as mentioned earlier. Your Nocturne jungle has given up the objective completely, and Lux is pushed in mid, which is nice. But you're still going to be at a deficit here, so it's really awkward for you. Like, you being here now, I'd say like 2 things are probably going to be likely happening right now for the enemy team. Like, if I was the enemy team thinking this, I'd be like, okay, we'll do Herald. And then if we get Herald, well, top looks isolated, so we can maybe just like push into top and do some stuff there. They don't know that Nocturne's not there, so I guess that's why they're playing a little bit more on the defensive here and not making a decision. Set's decided to try and take control of the situation. I think even still this, like, I don't think you should fight over this at all. Like, you kind of almost you're playing poker with these guys. You're calling their bluff right now. Like, you're bluffing that you got a stronger hand than you actually have. Does that make sense? Like, if you look at the minimap, your jungle is nowhere nearby. Okay, he has ulti and it's got a long-ish range, but it's still going to take some time to get here. You're basically isolating yourself here now into a 1v4 with a nice little fail flash. And I would say, like, largely that was on you forcing a slight. Whether or not this outcome is good or not, I would say, like, this didn't necessarily seem like a good idea to do. I think 9 times out of 10, this ends up being really bad. I don't know if you're taking into the mind the fact that it's a Nocturne and he can fly in at an okay range, but if that was a different jungler, this would have been disastrous for your team for sure, 100%. So you really need to pay attention to where your jungle is. Before, like, you shouldn't be as a squishy support looking to incentivize to stopping the enemies from doing jungle camps, because you'll just get destroyed if they just look at you. Especially this season. Like, the damage is crazy right now. So I think you're playing too... I think overall, I think for what your role is in the game is right now, you're playing too aggressively. At all stages of the game. Because the amount of reward that you're getting to being aggressive here is just... it's not any value here at all. Okay, that was some good spell usage in terms of trying to get out of this situation. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to get away, but I think you did a good job in terms of actual spell usage. Like, you can obviously play the champion. I think it's just decision making at this point. And just learning to try and reel in some of the aggressiveness. I know it's hard to do. And in some cases it's more boring to do. But that's sometimes the game that you have to play, is just like your own mental about like not being persevering through the boredom in order to not make a mistake. Like here, for example, is another risky situation, which I find myself in quite often, to be honest, as well, where it's just like enchanter support in the middle of the lane by themselves. Sometimes they end up in the situation for a couple of minutes, but do respect it. Try not to take weird, like, risky angles here into like where anyone can jump from the brush. It's a bit safer this way, but like, don't go into this area here at all. Just literally stay around this turret. If you're by yourself mid, just stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you're getting a bit agitated, like you feel like you have to do something, so you're like coming over here, do I want to hold this brush? Like, you know, just relax and just, if you find yourself alone, just take it very easy. Like this, like here for example. Like there's no need to harass. All you're doing is going through your mana and you're not really doing any damage here at all. So you just need to just relax. And just use your spells in order to peel. Yeah, I think the ulti there was a bit weak sauce. I think everything here in the last minute or two has been relatively pointless. Because now your ulti's now down for dragon, right? I mean, as you probably know, using your Seraphine ulti for one person is something that you really don't want to do. Yeah, it's like you're trying to fish for something here as well. I think you're playing frontline too much. Sorry to sound like so negative the last 5 minutes, but you're definitely... It's 21 minutes into the game now. Like, any chance of laning phase harassment has long gone, like over 10 minutes ago, I'd say. I'd say like last season, you could probably keep poking until about 12 minutes. This season, it's probably more like 8. After 8 minutes, you're playing much further at the back. So yeah, you do need to start thinking a bit more about your positioning and where you are in these fights and leading up to these fights. And if you're by yourself, take it easy. Try not to agitate enemy players by yourself and all this kind of stuff. I think your mechanics on the champion overall, from what I've generally seen, apart from maybe like the last ulti, has been like fine. Like
yeah, I'm sometimes a bit trigger happy with the ulti, but that's some situations where I'm just thinking that maybe we can do more than we actually are able to.
Like here, I want to show you like another. I just want you to watch yourself and yourself here on the map. Okay. Like this here. Like you kind of like you're wanting to push in almost there by yourself. Lucky you retracted yourself, but I would have liked you to identify this like a little bit earlier. Like you're wanting to speed up the game from what it seems like. It seems like from me watching you, it's like you need to go do something IRL. Like there's food in the oven that needs to come out in 10 minutes and this game needs to be over quick. Like it does feel like you're trying to force a lot of situations. Like there, for example, like once again, it's like you're trying to force things to happen in the game when you don't really need to. You need to let the other people do that, and you can play it as a backline Seraphine. Just, you know, easily, comfortably do your ulti, comfortably do your crowd control, comfortably do your sustain. Alright, let's have a look at your item situation. Yeah, Rylai's after Moonstone. Yeah. I'm gonna, I mean, you're probably more knowledgeable on how it really feels. I still don't think like Rylai's like second item. I don't think that's necessary. I think it's too early to go Rylai's second personally. But that's always gonna be preference, isn't it? I think your team, like we haven't really talked about it, but your team's actually been doing quite a good job so far this game. I think from your bot lane perspective, it's been going pretty badly, but the Lux is 6-1. You got 3 dragons. And Darius has been doing pretty well for himself as well. So I'd say like your win condition right here now is just getting Dragon Soul. Doesn't say when Dragon's next spawning, but my mindset would be like, okay, our win con is Dragon. As long as we like set up around Dragon, try not to take any weird fights, get Dragon Soul if possible. I'll land a banger ulti. I'll pill for the Lux as much as possible since she's doing so well. She's on 6-1. Just try and set up for the Lux, protect the Lux, and then like that would be like the GG. That's how I would be trying to, like, you got to try and think like a few steps ahead of like how are you going to win the game, and then who you need to kind of like work with in order to that to happen. So Dragon win con, Lux is ahead. You know, it could have been like, you know, you could be 3 dragons down. Win con could be like, you know, preventing the enemy team getting the dragon, and prioritizing that over like securing the Baron just to make sure you don't like end off like a Dragon Soul GG. And then for like the enemy team, it'd be like working with like the Fiddlesticks. He's 5'3", trying to work with him to do a good ulti, like to get a massive ulti AoE combo kind of thing as well. Like here, for example, like it's the same thing again, right? It's I know Nocturne's gone in here with the Herald, but like this is his doing, not yours. And it's like you can't do anything about this. He's stuck in there. He can't come out, and this Ziggs in the center, right in front of your face. You can't look to harass or help here at all. You see that? Like, you got the Lux coming up behind you in mid, but like there's nothing you can do here. I wouldn't put myself in any risk whatsoever trying to help this. It's like giga awkward, but you're just gonna have to let it go. Like, even like doing this is risky. If the enemy team was smarter, these two would just go straight onto you. Yeah, okay, so I do have a complaint then. So I think you should lead with ult and then use your E. I think you've got a direct double ult there straight away. And then it just means that your E is just much easier to set up at that point. I think you should always lead with ulti into E rather than the other way around. This is a nasty Fiddlesticks ulti though.
Yeah, that's how the game will end up going.
Yeah, that Fiddle ulti was disgusting.
He will get some really nice ultis.
Yeah, I think after dying to a really good Fiddlesticks ulti, my brain would be like, literally like, okay, we need to respect the crap out of this. But yeah, I mean, that one, like, the overall forcing of that situation was Nocturne, but you need to be careful about, once again, being isolated by yourself and just, like, moving away from bad situations if needed. I think you still, okay, they got Baron, they won a nice team fight, you still got Dragon to play out after, so I want to see you warding around the Dragon, which you're doing, which is great, and you know that they just were doing Baron, so they're not really going to be on their side of the jungle. So what you're doing here is correct. Just be very aware though that you can't be alone here by yourself for very long. You do have Lux kind of nearby, that's a good... This is a really good play. Okay, good. Right, after you've made that play though, that you, at this point, you got to be aware that they're going to... The leftover members are probably stacked on top of each other, so you don't want to be by yourself. Like here, for example, I don't like you doing this. I think you need to stick with these two rather than wandering off by yourself because, you know, Fiddlesticks ulti again, core, you're dead instantly, right? Yeah, so yeah, and this Q harassment here, there's no reason to do that because you're going to do like 1 damage to set, right? Does this make sense? Like what I'm saying at this point?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah, so there's no reason to put yourself in this weird kind of solo situation and then look into Q harass. Like when you have passive ready, I want you saving that for your W or your E, not using it for Q harassment at this stage. Like Q harassment at this point is kind of completely redundant. That's why I say like it might be worth thinking about putting only like 3 points in Q, just for like the laning phase harassment anyway. Maybe setting up minions for bot side for your AD carry. But like your damage will fall off hard if you're not going like Leandries and stuff. So just go into more of the other 2 supportive items, if that makes sense. Because yeah, you should be absolutely saving your double cast for W's or E's, and if you haven't got your passive ready, you're using your Q's to, like randomly on the floor if you have to, just to get your passive up. So yeah, I think you just let it happen. Okay, it's good to see you not at the front of this fight. I think you've played this fight correctly. I think your ulti is really smart as well in that line. Unfortunately, there was no other enemies to follow that up. I think your team just played... I think you played that fight well. Like after you did all the weird poking shenanigans, I think you actually played that fight fine. I think your team played it bad. think your team got a little bit impatient here. I think Nocturne ulting the set is literally the worst thing in the world that he could do. I think this ulti is smart because it covers the corridor where you saw them that they were running up. So if it catches them here still, then that's fantastic. But then it also stops them from potentially coming in. Set blows up the Nocturne. So yeah, I think it's just a really, really, really bad Nocturne ulti that really screwed you over. And then the Fiddle ulti is just pretty good. So yeah, I don't have any complaints from you. I think you actually played that right. I think that's like probably the best thing you've done all game, and unfortunately it didn't work in your favor, so it sucks when that happens, but I think you did everything right then. Apart from everything before that, because you could have got caught easily before that, but like yeah, the bits, the actual team fight itself, I think you played well. So there isn't really any objectives for a while. That dragon fight did take a while, so Baron's probably in like 2 minutes. Unfortunately, we can't see here. This is a better Nocturne ulti, him going for the squishy target. I'm just trying to see where are you ready. So the ulti... I mean, yeah. It's nice that you got the Senna kill, but at the same time it's like, you might need your ulti for the team fight longer. So yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one, that one. I can see why you took it. I think that's just kind of like whatever. If it stalls out the game a little bit longer, then that's fine. Looks like Baron buff has dropped off of the enemy. So it looks like it's going to be another waiting game. Lux can easily wave clear. Okay, what are you buying? Going towards Staff of Flame Water, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I think... Okay, yeah, so like go... I really want you to start trying Dreammaker in your games. Because of the... I think because of what I've been saying, I want you to go into a more passive mindset. I think also... Maybe in your mindset, I don't know if this is true or not, Zizak, the fact that you have a Zizak is making you feel like you have to do those stupid Q harassments that I've been saying. So I think just go Dreammaker and then you'll be like in a better place in terms of positioning and things like that, if that makes sense.
Playing more like Emilio.
Yeah. Playing more like a better position on Emilio though. Like Emilio is generically better than Seraphine because he doesn't necessarily have to rely on too much like exactly where you're positioning, whereas you're going to have to get your angles right still as well. So it is more difficult to play Seraphine because of the E and the ulti positioning, whereas Emilio could just generically just be kind of anywhere in the back line. You have to kind of think about more of your angles. Like here. It's kind of waiting for you to do it again, but yeah, we saw it again here. I'm sure you don't need me to say anything here. Yeah. I think what would help you a lot here too is when you're pushed in like this. I'm going to do blue side vision. Like ideally, I don't know if it got cleared, I don't know if you did it, I wasn't 100, I'm going to be honest, didn't 100% pay attention, but if you're able to get a ward here, in the middle of this lane, it would help you so much in terms of giving you advanced vision on terms of poke that's going to come through, like Ziggs bombs, Victor E's and stuff like that, but also will help you knowing whereabouts in this lane to position for ulti, because seeing like where the enemy champions are behind them. So yeah, see how like much vision there you don't have. You can't see the two at the back there, but if you had a ward there in the middle, you'd be able to see the set and the center. So when you are having a ward in the middle of this lane is like really, really vital, whether you're behind or you're ahead. Senna is likely to clear it out. She got Umbral Glaive. She actually, no, she does have an Umbral Glaive, so it probably would get cleared out. But like in most circumstances, I don't know if you're doing it in your games, try and get, if you're behind, if you're losing, ward around here is absolutely really good. If you're ahead, ward around it just to see rotations. If you're getting poked in siege like this, it's really just really helpful to see kind of what's going on. And you'll have to do that preemptively as well, so they won't necessarily see that the ward's been placed as well.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of awkward because you don't really have anyone to help your ult setup here. Didn't have Darius or Nocturne. I think I'd be concerned about this left side. Yeah, I'd say like ulti there is fine. I would have done that, to be honest. Because you've got good stuff happening over here in the mid, but they're pushing pretty aggressively here on your flank. I think protecting your flank there is fine to make sure the stuff goes here on the mid is uninterrupted. I think that was a good ult decision. What is going on here though? There's another dragon coming up soon and you kind of want to play around that. Baron's up too. Fiddlesticks has gone giga crazy.
I think it was like a level 30 Fiddlesticks smurfing our game.
Yeah, I think the sacrifice, honestly, I think in this situation here, Fiddlesticks needs to be punished under the turret, right? Like, he is giga under turret. And you have your E ready on double cast. I think it's absolutely fine for you to do this, even though you're kind of by yourself. Like, you weren't originally by yourself until this Fiddlesticks jumped into the turret, right? I think going for this route is absolutely fine, because he's directly under tower and he's their most strongest. Like, if he dies here, and for your own life, it means that you can make a massive play on this Dragon Soul. Enemy team uses a lot of resources there. I think the trade is still fine if Nocturne can make it out. Yeah, this is really good. That stems from you catching at the Fiddlesticks under turret. Like, that was a noble sacrifice. Like, you sacrificing yourself for the strongest person on the enemy team and their jungler more so to get an objective here is really good. If you get that, so you do get Chemtech Soul. It's one of the weakest souls, unfortunately, in the game, but it's like it's still a soul. You lose this game, right?
Yep.
That sucks when you got Dragon Soul. Yeah. Yeah, here. Okay, so here, you're finding yourself alone here, but like, it's under circumstances which are out of your control. I think you literally just focus minions. I think you ignore this guy. So you do clear out the wave there. I think just save any other abilities that you have for the wave. Don't look to being too crazy here. Okay, you guys have the upper hand right now. The only thing that you need to be worried about is Fiddlesticks ulti. That's the only thing that you should be worried about. I think... Okay, I hate your positioning is so much. What are you doing? Okay, right, yeah, I hate everything about that. You can't do that. That's giga illegal. Okay, you killed one of them, but you need to be constantly aware of what is the biggest threat on the enemy team. It is Fiddlesticks. There's the only one objective that everyone wants is Baron. The red team are definitely going to be defending this. They got 2 people dead, but still, you can't face check that. You can't be here by yourself. You cannot be here. Like, putting the ward here max range is a reach. I'd say, I think you probably got about a 75% chance of success right there. I think it would be an okay ward to do. Going for this though is absolutely insanity. Look at the next, like, what's your escape route after this? I think you have to run top, right? I don't think you can actually run back to your location. Okay, now you know where Fiddlesticks is. You do have ulti, so I'm looking for you to get a good ult. Okay, it is a good ulti. Fiddlesticks is dead. Okay, and your jungler is alive. This should be your Baron. You had a control ward, which you don't. You'd put it in the pit, or is that your ward? That is your ward. You did put it in the
Yeah,
pit.
it's my ward in the pit.
You should be fine taking this. If you lose this Baron, it's because of jungle diff. Okay. Okay, I don't like how Nocturne left the Baron at 2k. Did they get this? No. What is going on, man? Like, this isn't on you. This bit here is not on you at all. The jungler should never be leaving Baron when it's on 10% HP. I don't know what he's doing here. That's not on you. Now we're chasing for kills. We should have had the Baron buff, but it's too late now, so you guys are going to have to reset. Yeah, Nocturne kind of entered that fight, unfortunately. Main objective still right now is Baron buff. Main worry is always going to be Fiddlesticks. At least you know that Fiddlesticks is kind of around that area. I'd say like here still you kind of want to put a ward here. You're still having to play like a defensive line to respect the Fiddlesticks. Put the ward there so you can see like kind of any rotations if they do make into your lane or start looking to push in. Yeah, you have to be so careful here. Okay, good. Good E, really good E. I think that also stunned him as well.
Yep.
Both jungles are dead though. Okay. This is like really awkward. I know you're trying to set up here for the Jhin, but just be super careful. Like here, yeah, you're... Okay. It's a shame Ziggs didn't die. This is a really awkward situation right now. I think you just have to keep playing it back from the back. Like after the Jhin ult's down, definitely go back to the back. What you're doing right now is absolutely fine. Looking to get a double cast E or a double cast W off. So you did kill Victor. Okay, so you're going to have a 4v5 in your favor again for Baron. Just, you want to reset as much as possible here at this point. Like here, reset. Enemy's not going to necessarily do Baron because Victor just is dead and you got a player advantage. Just go reset. Go get your ward charges back up. You're also getting low on mana again as well. So you just want to reset, make sure that you're ready for the next one. Yeah, just go back, go home, reset with everyone else. Because if you see like the recall timings here, it's off. Like your Lux and your Jhin have recalled at the same time. Like you should be joining on that. So you're all off the map and back on the map at the same time, rather than coming back on one at a time. Okay, there is an Elder Dragon. Oh, God. Yeah, it's a shame you guys didn't get Baron, because that really should have been your Baron. Alright, let's see how you play this. So you know that Fiddlesticks is there. That's really good for you. That you know that exactly where Fiddlesticks is. You can't play forward, though. And I don't like...
This is the worst part.
Yeah,
this
fight.
thing.
What the hell happened here? So you're literally worst case scenarios. You've got 2 people top, 2 people bot, and then it's like Nocturne's going to fly in from a random angle. But you're 2 split up. So if they decide to focus on a section when there's only 2, the other 2 people, say for example, if they engage you on top, the whole team's going to shift up, and these guys at the back are going to take ages to catch up. So you're going to be playing a full, like a 5v2, 4v2 for like a long time. So you decide to play up the Darius. Lux go, like these guys should have followed up, honestly. I don't think there's anything you could do. This is just unfortunate.
Oh, my position there will be absolutely horrible as well.
Like here everyone's following in. Like Darius is your tank. Yeah, and Jhin was kind of following the Darius there as well, but then he decided to change his mind. Okay, so how would I play it? Okay, this is already, like, I'd say already in this position here is a losing situation for you. I don't see how you come out of this, but let's see how you play it. You can't be in front of the Darius. The whole reason why we follow the Darius is because he's your front line. Don't be in front of the Darius. You need to be in the back position to do ult setup and stuff. Let him do the work. Don't be in front of him. You can't do that. You really can't do that. And you're going to die for free. Yeah.
Yep.
And exactly what happened is, like, you know, if you guys get caught off on either side, then they're all going to collapse. And these guys aren't going to be able to do anything in terms of coming. Jhin is back here. Jhin went down to this brush, back to here. But yeah, like, you can't play the fight like that at all. So, like, this is a very, very bad team fight. But you should never, ever, ever, ever be in front. 38 minutes into the game. You shouldn't be doing this at 12 minutes into the game. There's no reason for you to be sat ulted there. There's no reason for you to go down the way you did. You should be looking for really good banger ulties. And trying to get like 3-man ults. They get Elder Dragon, that's a given.
And it's a game.
Yeah. Darius is doing a good job here in terms of like killing minions to stop them from coming into mid, so to try and delay the game a bit longer. They're gonna get Baron here now though, aren't they? I mean, there are some things that were out of your hand. I'd say there's a lot of things that were in your hand though too. Like the Nocturne here screwed you guys over for sure in terms of not getting the Baron. I think from my perspective from watching you, you obviously know generally how to play Seraphine. Like I'd say your Seraphine mechanics are easily Emerald, maybe low Diamond. There were probably like 1 or 2 mistakes maybe where like I would have liked to seen you do ulti into double cast E rather than double cast E into ulti. Just because it's more guaranteed. I think that's just probably more sloppy. You probably already know better than that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think after watching it and analyzing it, I think just do Dreammaker for 10 games. Do Dreammaker. I don't mind if you do Guardian or Airy primary. I think Airy overall is probably better than Guardian primary, if I'm going to be completely honest. There's probably not a massive amount into it, but the runes are generally pretty much the same. You're trading Guardian for Airy, and that's kind of about it really. And then I want you to be less aggressive. I want you to not be poking with your Q past 10 minutes into the game, unless it's to do setting up for passive, or if someone is like really low HP, you know, like apart from like extremes, like you really just need to use your Q in order to set up for your ulti or your set up your E or your W. You're not with this build, your damage is trash. Your Q damage is trash. I want you to get out of the mindset of like you're needing to be there to do damage. You need to be there to be doing crowd control. And try never to find yourself at the front. Pretty much any mage right now and any enchanters especially, you cannot be at the front. You don't have the same laning presence, I would say, as compared to previous seasons. I think the first few levels you do okay damage, but also your mana situation is also getting a little bit rocky. So try not to spam your abilities out too much unless it's like they are caught out. I caught them out with double E and then I'm using my Q and then I have to use my W to kind of like, we took maybe a bit more too much damage. I'd be hesitant to use W as much as possible in lane just because I think it is like a ridiculously cost ability, isn't it? It's like that throughout the entire game. I think it's 80 mana level 1. It's very, very expensive. Also another thing is like when you're maxing Q first, it costs more mana per point every time you level up as well. Same with E. Our abilities are just generally really expensive early. So yeah, do try not to play as aggressive as you have been. I think that's the way where you're dying. I think you got 6 or 7 out of your deaths were unnecessary. I think you had a nice sacrificial death on the mid lane on the Fiddlesticks. I think there were a couple of times where like it's just, you know, you got ganked and that was it. There were times when you were low resources where you should have recalled and told your AD carry to recall with you. I think it's just kind of like I think it's back to basics in League. I think you've got the other stuff. What I find with some people in your ELO is that you've kind of forgotten the beginner steps. And you've kind of gone into like advanced. You've got it done, like you can do the advanced stuff. It's just that you've forgotten how to swing the bat. So it's just play back more. You're not there to do damage, you're there to do crowd control. If you're low on resources, try and sync up recalls with your AD carry. I think your warding knowledge seems to be fine. Just don't overextend too much for it. I think you're in the right mindset at the right times of where you need to ward, which is good. It's just at times you're kind of going giga deep for it without respecting the fact that you could just get snapped straight away. And like the main one that I can think of is the one where you went into the Baron pit right at the back and you had like 3 enemies waiting here. Honestly, if this was Diamond, they would have just walked up and killed you straight away. They wouldn't have just randomly just sat in the brush waiting for someone to walk up here. They would have just gone, oh, there's a Seraphine. So yeah, do be careful about that because if you do climb, that will be your next big. I think your big issue is just be a KDA player. Honestly, I don't know if that's going to make you hate Seraphine, because it will require changing your playstyle. I think quite a lot. But if you play as a KDA player, you'll learn to kind of understand why you don't need to play aggressive at the moment in Season 14 as a controller or an enchanter. You just let everything else happen, and then you just kind of like join in a little bit after that. It's kind of like how AD carries are played usually. It's just AD carries usually should be waiting for the fight to start for a couple of seconds and then following up from that, so they don't not focus at the start. And you should be probably be playing like that as well, in terms of wait for the thing to happen and then act on it, rather than you trying to cause something to happen out of nothing. I think, honestly, if you do play Moss passive, I think you probably get Emerald pretty quickly. Even with Seraphine. It's just if you want to do passive playstyle. I think, I don't know. Are you prepared to do passive playstyle?
Yeah, I'm prepared. I actually used to play more passive, but then there were many situations where it was, well, previous seasons, where I had to be more and more aggressive, playing Zyra, and, well, I was doing some Karma games, and even in Soraka, just doing some of the bullying in lane. So with that one, I changed the playstyle to be more aggressive, so now I just need to take it back a few years.
Yeah. I think if you want to keep playing Seraphine in terms of aggressive, I think you just go all in on AP. I think there are probably some situations there still on the map that you shouldn't be making anyway if you're playing AP, but like it would give you more incentive to take the Zags and take maxing Q and looking to do damage with your Q. Because right now, the Q, every time you saw it, like past 15 minutes with 5 points, was really bad. Just really, really bad. How much is that doing? Like, I'm looking at it right now. 40 minutes into the game, it's 232 damage. So, okay, if it's a double proc, it's double that, but you shouldn't be double procking Q at this stage of the game anyway. And then it's like 348 damage if they're below 25. Like, 232 damage, honestly, is just giga bad. Giga bad. So I would make a strong argument, honestly, if you're playing Enchanter Seraphine. The only reason to have Q maxed is for passives. So maybe it might be worth trying like a game with like only 3 points in Q to be able to push in the lane if needed. Still have a bit of poke at the very start of laning phase, because that's still fine to have. And then also being able to set up minions for like Jin Q, Misfortune Q for their procs. And then leave it at 3 and then get like points in your W or your E.
Yep.
I'm not sure what's better to max second, the W or the E. That'd be something, probably your W still, like you'd be not doing normally. But I'm not seeing the value unless it feels like really bad on your passive, because that's the only thing I can think of that is just going to feel pretty bad on your passive and constantly getting more stacks. So that's literally the only reason why I can think of that you would want to max your Q playing an Enchanter Seraphine. Like our AP ratios, especially in Execute, is like quite good at 0.75. But with the Moonstone that you've got in particular, it's only 30 AP. Starter Flame Water gives a good chunk at 70. Rise is 75. Your support item obviously gives nothing. So you don't really have... Oh, I can actually see your runes here with tab now. I think that's new.
Oh.
So you got conditioning as well. Conditioning's fine. Yeah, Guardian to proc probably about 30 odd times this game. Font of Life. Yeah, Font of Life does a respectable amount at 1.4k. So yeah, I think also if you find yourself against like a Mega Burst team, I would recommend trying a couple of times against Mega Bursty teams. Like say if you're up against like Nautilus Samira or something crazy like that, or just generally like a lot of enemy team damage, do try picking up an early tier. Going into like a Seraph's second item completed maybe. Maybe go Staff of Flowing Water into Seraph's into Moonstone, then into Rylai's. Like Rylai's is like a fourth kind of like item slot.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth item slot or something, I don't know, but yeah. Right. So, do you have any questions or anything? Anything that you wanted more on?
No, I think that's already a lot. It's helping me go to the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to add. I think you know what to do now.
Mm-hmm.
And do keep me updated because I'm kind of interested. I might end up trying some Seraphine support games soon at some point, but I'll let you do some of the testing for me first. The win rate on her does scare me though. Like it is, you know, obviously no, it's not great right now, so like getting wins, it sounds like you've been doing a good job already.
Yeah, already yesterday's games there was only one loss.
I think the strongest thing of Seraphine is always her ulti, so if you are able just to do consistent, really good ultis at the back, I think you have a good chance of winning those team fights anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all the best, and thank you for letting me coach you.
Thank you for the coaching.
So, take care, Penny.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.